Hello. So I promised a longer video on YouTube. I'm really trying to get hard to get back into YouTube. I'm getting there. I'm starting to upload lots more shorts. I want to do a lot longer videos because I think the stuff that I'm doing is interesting. See, I think so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. But it's hard to explain what I'm doing in like a 10-second, 10-minute video or whatever on TikTok. So I want to do these longer videos. This is the domain lookout. I've seen. Hopefully, you've seen a couple of videos of it on TikTok and the YouTube Shorts. And I want to do a little bit of a longer video just to explain what the hell this is and why I'm doing it. So Domain Lookout is the idea behind it is that it's going to be a free domain monitoring tool. So typically bigger companies get spoofed a hell of a lot. They get, people spinning up domains like Amazon dot whatever, and they try and trick people into thinking that they're actually Amazon, spending money and what have you. Um, the bigger the company, the more likely this is because they sort of try and piggyback off the reputable known name. And typically for these larger companies, it's not a big deal because they can afford to pay a threat intelligence company, which is typically how you get information like this, is that you pay a threat intelligence vendor and they'll give you a feed of here's things that we've seen. I don't know how they do that. They don't publicize how they do that. So I thought there must be an open source way of doing that or a free way of doing that. Had a look, couldn't really find any that were truly free. A couple were like, oh yeah, we'll do it for a little bit, or you can get a bit of free information, but it won't last very long, or it's more of a trial than anything else. So I was like, fuck it, let's see if we can make this free. And that's what I've done so far. So what this is doing is that it's looking for newly registered certificates, SSL certificates. I couldn't figure out a way of finding newly registered domains. I'm sure there's feeds out there, but I reckon you probably have to go to all of the different potential domain vendors, so like GoDaddy or whatever, and pull that information from each of them individually. I think. I'm not sure. It is something I'm looking at, but my thought process was if an attacker is making a suspicious domain or suspicious website, they're doing it to try and trick a user. And you can't really do that now unless you have a certificate on the site, because if it's not HTTPS, any modern browser will scream at you that there could be something dodgy with this site, and that would set off alarm bells, even in the most untechnical of people. So figured that's a good benchmark, that if they're doing an SSL cert or if they're making an SSL cert for a domain, it's likely that it exists and there is a domain associated with that, because there's no point getting it for a different name. So that's what's pulling, because that certificate information is out there. There's a place called CertStream where you can actually get a live feed of certs that have been added to the it's not blockchain, it's not like crypto or anything like that there, but there is a sort of collection of here certificates that exist. I don't know if it's entirely all of the certificates, but it definitely seems to be a fair number, and I've had a decent bit of success with this. So it's pulling that feed in. I've then got it that it can you give it a domain that you want to watch, and then it will look for domains that look similar in that list. It'll pull out the domains of the cert information and it'll look for something similar. Now, the matching process at the minute is it's okay. It's found something. So I've had it watching Amazon. So actually what I'll do is I'm going to get this running down here and I'll let you see. I'll just let it run in the background while I'm talking. If we do this. So this is the command that you can run. Obviously this is cargo run because this is the dev. I will put a link in the description. I have an pre-alpha release of this where you can run it. Again, the matching engine on it needs work, but this is the idea of it. So you'll run it, you do a -d, give it the domain that you want to watch. I will update this in the future that you can give it a file or multiple domains, all that good stuff. And then the URL, this is for tines. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I work in automation in the cybersecurity space, so I want to be able to automate stuff based on this easily. So that's why I've got that functionality in there that I can then pass this off to tines. But I'll talk about that towards the end. So I'm going to let this run. And if we find anything while I'm talking, we'll be good to go. What was I saying? Yes, the matching engine definitely needs work. It has found some things for me, some domains that I'm now keeping an eye on that do look like someone trying to spoof an Amazon domain, which is what I've been using just as the test bed for this effectively. And I have found a couple, but I'm pretty sure it's missing a lot more. The way that the matching works, it's using just inbuilt Rust sort of string comparison things. I can't remember the name of it. There's a big fancy name for the type of like distance measurement that it uses. It's not ideal. I did want to do potentially fuzzy hashing to see if that would maybe work, but Rust doesn't seem to have a good SSDeep hash library built in. I want to write all this in Rust because the whole point of all this was to learn Rust, and I've now got tons of projects in Rust. I'm absolutely loving it, but a lot of the libraries are really young, and that's not ideal for some of the stuff that I'm wanting to do here. Oh, cool. Okay, so we found one. So straight away there, you've got AmazonTVV.com. The bit above, the keeping connection alive, the connection to the stream times out after a little while. So I just have that as like a heartbeat whenever it reconnects, and it also has the counter of how many certs or how much information is it packeted or has it processed in the interim. Just as it checks, if that's 0, then I know there's something wrong and it can then error. So I'm sort of using that as a little bit of error catching. I'm just scanning the site in URL scan, and actually, yeah, okay, so here, so this is the Amazon.tvv. Scan now. This is the only, so it's not been scanned by URL scan before, and it's a blank domain, so no one has done anything with this domain yet. This says to me that it's a potential phishing domain. This is someone who is possibly trying to phish or create a spoof domain. They just haven't done it yet. They've got the cert. So I've got a couple like this that I'm actually keeping an eye on because I think it'll be a really good proof of concept if that then, if that site, that Amazon TVV, becomes live and becomes malicious or becomes someone trying to pretend to be Amazon, that is an amazing proof of concept for this to be like, look, it actually found stuff. As I said, I think it's missing some things. So I do want to try and work on the matching engine. But as I was saying, with Rust's inbuilt libraries being so young and not developed, in fact, very few of them are even in version 1, it's difficult to do this purely in Rust, but that's what I want to do, and that's sort of what I'm sticking with. I was thinking machine learning to do that sort of comparison. I do have this domain generator.py to generate a big old list of a data set effectively. This is the data set. So the Pi code, what it does is you feed it a list of domains, and then it creates sort of typo squatted domains. So you can see that Craigslist is putting the 6 in there, and then the umlaut O instead of the standard O, and all that stuff. So it just generated this, and I mean there is a ton in here. Yeah, quite a few. So it's created a few, and then it tags it with a 1. The 1 means that it's a spoof domain. If it's a 0, it means it's the original domain. I made this as a data set for the machine learning. I am incredibly, I do not know machine learning at all. I've done a little bit of TensorFlow, I think, or PyTorch, I can't remember which one, whenever I was doing a malware course in my master's degree. But I haven't touched it since, and even then I didn't fucking understand it at the time. So this, I just know you need a data set, so here's a data set. It's probably crap. So I started building that, but again, as I said, in Rust, it's not, the libraries aren't mature enough to actually make a good machine learning model and do it. From what I've seen, again, my limited understanding of machine learning and AI models may be limiting quite a lot there. So I am thinking of maybe doing the machine learning side of it in Python, just because there's so much more material out there to learn and do stuff with. So I thought that might be a better starting point of build the model, do all that stuff, create the machine learning aspect in Python using like TensorFlow or something like that, and then integrate it into this somehow. Again, I don't know how you create the model, and then once you create the model, what do you do with it then? I don't know. Machine learning to me is really bad at the minute, and I need to learn it because it's becoming a big thing, particularly in cybersecurity. We have a lot of tools that are using it. I think this tool itself would be a great candidate for it, but at the minute, I just don't have the skill set to do it, so I'm working on that. I've got a friend who's much better at machine learning than me, and I've assign them a ticket. We'll see. Oh yeah, here. So you can see it's found spoofed domain, and this is alpa whatever. That's not I doubt that's anyone trying to spoof Amazon. Even this one, ERC Amazon, I can see why. It's just got ERC on the end, but probably nothing. So I'm actually going to scan this one in URL scan as well. And we will see. But I'm pretty sure that's just nothing. So as you can see, it is prone to false positives, but it does also find some. You can tune the similarity rating. So whenever you run the command, you do -d the domain, -u the URL for towns, and then you can also do -s, which is the similarity matching. And the default is, it's here, the default is 3. The lower, the more, or the closer it has to be to the original thing. I found that anything above 5 gets super noisy. Even 3 can be quite noisy. But the default of 3 seems to be a nice mix of, okay, yeah, you get the odd one, but you also get some that are potentially suspicious. Okay, and the ercamazon.com one is also still blank domain, hasn't actually been built yet. Has been scanned twice. So when was the last scan? Okay, like a year ago, 2 months ago. Okay, this is probably long dead, and just a cert getting refreshed. It could even be Amazon buying this one just to keep it on their own, keep it under their control potentially. But this is the idea. SM Amazon TV. I wonder, are these related? Interesting. I like this stuff. I like seeing the mapping of potential, not just malicious domains, but then also legitimate domains. That this SM Amazon TV is actually very close to the AM Amazon TV. So then, is the AM and the extra V, is that maybe like a regional thing? I don't know. Anyway, so this is the tool effectively. So you can stick this, you can run it on a server somewhere and just leave it in the background. But you then also can tie it into Tines, and I'm just going to show you that now. So whenever it finds something on the domain looker, I have here a Tines webhook, which is the URL is over here that I've passed, and then whenever the information gets sent in, you can see you've got down here the events, the webhook action, and then in the body is the domain itself. Okay, we've got headers and response, all that stuff. We don't really care about that. All we care about is the body, which actually has the domain that it's found. And so from here, you can then start to do additional things. So this is what's called a SOAR tool, Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. Very powerful tools, very useful, particularly if you're a small cybersecurity team within a reasonably sized company, or even not. These tools are really, really powerful. Tines have a free version, which is what I'm using. You can have 3 stories, is what they call these like runbooks. You can have 3 of these runbooks running at any given time. They can be as large as you like. I think there is a limited request, but it's quite large. I haven't hit it yet. So you can have 3 full-blown stories running at any given time. And for a small company, that I found is plenty, and it's free, so why the hell wouldn't you? So you can just build them out. It's super easy to work with. I'm not going to go into how to use Tines right now because there's plenty of better videos done by them, but you can do stuff like this. So we've got the webhook coming in that's saying, okay, we find this domain. I can then pass that to a send email action, and then it goes and sends it to a specific email. And then once that's, once it finds a trigger, it then emails me and says, hey, we found a domain that might be spoofing. You can also go further than this. You could go down and start doing things like sending it automatically to URL scan, like this. There are inbuilt stories that you can pull in. I actually think if I go to templates, there is a URL scan one here somewhere. Yeah, URL scan.io. So here's a whole load of them that you can go in. So retrieve scan results, submit for scan, search, all that stuff. So you can then build it out and say, okay, right, we've got a domain, scan it in URL scan, and then email me the results. And all you need to do is look at it and go, no, that's nothing, or yes, that's something I then need to action. So that's the power of Tines. These things can be absolutely incredibly powerful. So that's it. That's basically the tool. If you have any advice or things it is noisy today. Wow. So 3 is not, whenever you have the similarity matching on 3, it is usually not this noisy. There's a lot of activity. That's quite cool. Obviously a few duplicates as well. I need to fix that. That's easily dealt with, but yeah, it's quite cool. So yeah, this is the tool. As I said, there's like a pre-alpha dev version of it. The code is closed source at the minute. I am going to make it free. I'm not doing it fully open source at this stage. I may in the future, but at the minute I want to keep it closed source. But the tool itself is going to be released for free. It's going to be there. You can play with it, use it to your heart's content. And it does work. It is noisy. Again, if you think that this is too noisy, which this is unusual, it's not usually this this shouty. You can drop the similarity value down to 2 or 1. I think it does go below 1, but so yeah, if you have any questions about this, post them in the comments below. If you have any tips in how you do machine learning in Rust or anything like that, let me know. And yeah, if you have any ideas of how I could improve this, if you get a bit of a play around with it, let me know as well.